The Music Man is about Harold Hill.
Ever meet a fella by the name of Hill?
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 A traveling con man whose grift consists of convincing unsuspecting townsfolk into organizing boys' marching bands, getting them to pay for their children's uniforms and musical instruments, and then skipping town with the money.
He's a music man.
He's a what? He's a what?
He's a music man, and he sells clarinets to the kids in the town with the big trombones and the rat-a-tat drums, big brass bass, and the piccolo with uniforms too, with a shiny gold braid on the coat and a big red stripe run.
River City has gained infamy among other con men for being particularly untrusting of newcomers and therefore a near impossible mark.
Good morning, neighbor. I'm a stranger in your town. What do you folks do around here for excitement?
Mind our business?
He needs an in, a problem that he can sell his fictitious marching band as the solution to. But the city lives up to its reputation, as Hill can't seem to find any unrest or controversy to tap into. So he takes it upon himself to make some. He notices something new, something very small and mundane, and not actually even new, but new to his audience.
So why does everybody keep rubbering into the billiard parlor?
Oh, they just got in a new pool table.
They must have seen a pool table before.
No, just billiards.
And it's in this one musical scene where he makes trouble in River City. The song starts out with a casual walking bass line.
Well, you got trouble, my friend. Right here, I say trouble right here in River City. Why, sure, I'm a billiard player. Certainly mighty proud to say I'm always mighty proud to say it.
Establishing common ground. Saying that he, like all red-blooded Americans, loves a good game of billiards, but pool, this new unestablished thing in town, is a one-way ticket to debauchery. See, unlike the familiar billiards tables, pool tables have pockets. Hill spends the rest of the song describing how this one luxury will promote laziness in River City's children and ultimately doom them to a life of sin.
Takes judgment, brains, and maturity to score in a balk-line game. I say that any boob can take and shove a ball in a pocket. And I call that sloth. The first big step on the road to the depths of degradation. I say first, medicinal wine from a teaspoon, then beer from a bottle.
The pizzicato strings reflect the growing curiosity of those listening as he gains more of an audience.
Now, friends, let me tell you what I mean. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pockets in a table. Pockets that mark the difference between a gentleman and a bum with a capital B, and that rhymes with P, and that stands for pool.
And these short little stings that the horn section butts in with throughout the song is just such a great way to comedically emphasize the points of Hill's rhetoric that are the most alarming and impactful to the townsfolk. It basically acts as a musical exclamation point.
Hearing him tell about horse race gambling. Not a wholesome trotting race, no, but a race where they set down right on the horse.
Hill's arguments are silly to the point of pretty nakedly displaying how thin and nonsensical the associations he's trying to make are, but it's also very memorable and catchy. What he's saying is nonsense, but how he's saying it is eye-catching enough to gather a bigger crowd. After he gets his audience, he starts conducting them like an orchestra. Now they're an instrument that he's playing. He gets them to parrot his message back to him, and it's not long before he has them chanting in suspense all on their own. The sense of panic he manufactured has gripped the entire community, and now this has started to look less like a sales pitch and more like church, a sermon on this new spiritual crisis and how to know if their children are on the path to becoming consumed by their baser instincts. Luring River City into the palm of his hand, he starts describing perfectly ordinary behavior as what he calls the telltale signs of corruption, making sure that these warning signs are vague enough that it applies to as many children in the town as possible.
Are certain words creeping into his conversation? Words like swell. Aha, and so's your old man. But if so, my friends, you got trouble. Right here in River City.
And now the town is in an absolute fervor. Without bringing up his instruments, uniforms, or even the notion of a boys' marching band, he knows that he just cultivated the perfect marks for his scam. And with one final sentence, he seals the deal.
Remember, my friends, listen to me because I passed this way but once.
As to say, act now, I'm your only chance. Other than just highlighting this as an example of great songwriting, I want to touch on how this song has proven to be timeless. Specifically, how this song satirizes a rhetorical tactic that remains incredibly common to this day, the fear appeal fallacy. While a properly made good faith argument will appeal to emotion in addition to providing evidence-based logical statements, a fear appeal fallacy attempts to manufacture a sense of panic in an audience not to emphasize logical arguments, but to replace them. If you don't care about intellectual honesty or contributing anything beneficial to the world, you don't actually have to convey the value of what you're advocating for. You just need to fabricate a worse alternative and box in your audience enough to create the illusion of a binary choice between the two. Whether it be goods, services, or ideology, it's usually much easier to just use a constructed enemy to scare an audience into the arms of whatever you're selling. One of the most prevalent forms of this manufactured panic is the kind where the constructed enemy puts children in its crosshairs.
Oh, won't somebody please think of the children?
Trouble in River City satirizes this kind of scam artistry in a very unique way. While most satire heightens and exaggerates its subjects, this scene does the opposite. A lot of the song's comedy is derived from the sheer mundanity of the worst-case scenario Hill is describing to the townsfolk.
Does he rebuckle his knickerbockers below the knee? Is there a nicotine stain on his index finger? A dime novel hidden in the corn crib? Is he starting to memorize jokes from Captain Billy's whiz bag?
Illustrating the children of River City as doomed to a life of wicked indulgence consisting of such cardinal sins as neglecting household chores and listening to ragtime. But escalate the stakes and you've heard this same framework a million times. Beyond just financial scams, from cults to bigoted political punditry to basically all reactionary media, it is a classic trick of the average grifter to frame something completely benign or even just straight up fictional as a corrupting influence on children. This doesn't just happen to an audience's instinct to protect kids, but also the audience's sense of self-image. It's a very sinister and shameless kind of rhetorical sleight of hand that shifts the burden of proof off of the value of what is being sold and onto the value of the person being sold to.
The messaging here is so insidious, is that I'm for children, and if you don't come out here, you don't love children as much as I do.
This scene defangs a very emotionally manipulative argument by highlighting its absurdity. The people of River City, similar to many real people who fall victim to these kinds of grifts, consider themselves sufficiently suspicious of being deceived simply by scrutinizing the product being sold. But only interrogating the merits of an advertised solution is dangerously presumptive and already gets the salesman's foot in the door. Because sometimes, in order to be in the market for a solution, you first need to be sold a problem. So your first question should be, is this really a problem in the first place? Or is it just a pool table? Oh, yeah,